How to cope with the Amber Heard virus. Well, yes, we do want to kill it. We want to find a vaccine for it. But in the meantime, we have to socially isolate, which means we need to spend a lot of time doing things. And I will be here for you all to entertain you with the highest quality entertainment you've ever seen. Surviving Amber Heard virus. Okay, so I'll list some of my favorite TV shows, because this is a really good time to get into TV shows and movies. First, Netflix sucks. I usually download everything on Pirate Bay, but I found a site that's legal, I think, apparently. It's called Tubi, Tubi TV.com, I think. And it's free movies. There's commercials, but you can get like a million movies. And my favorites lately are the horror movies, the cheap horror movies. But first I'm going to list my top favorite TV shows. This will be especially helpful for anybody 30 or under. Twilight Zone is the best show of all time. Vince Gilligan, who made Breaking Bad, it's his favorite show too. It started everything, and everybody's just been emulating it since. Masterpiece. Star Trek: The Next Generation is a masterpiece. Breaking Bad, masterpiece. Have to watch it. Let's see what else. Legion Season 1, masterpiece. Actually, I'm just going to list a lot of them, because maybe write these down, because if you think that my opinion might be similar to yours. Game of Thrones, the first few seasons, masterpiece. Don't watch the other ones. If you like misogyny, you can find Married with Children. It's one of the best shows ever. I'll give you an example for the young people. My favorite joke on that show, Al Bundy works in a shoe store, and this really, really fat woman walks in with two smaller fat women on both sides of her, and Al Bundy goes, "Oh my God, she's so fat, she has fat women orbiting her." So that show is filled with the type of humor that would never be allowed today. It gets best towards the middle of the show. Like the first couple seasons, they don't really know their identity, but the middle few seasons are like masterpiece. Rome is a masterpiece. I think I've seen that like 5 times. Everything that I say here that's a masterpiece, I've seen like 5 times because it's that good. Okay, I guess I have to say Sopranos. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I have watched it several times and it's easy to watch. X-Files, pretty much a masterpiece. There's some classic episodes. Kids in the Hall is my favorite comedy show ever. And Trailer Park Boys might be my second favorite. They're both Canadian. The Office is a masterpiece. I think we're done. South Park is a masterpiece. The Simpsons had a few seasons, like the seasons during Phil Hartman, which were masterpieces. I'll list some of my favorite movies just for the hell of it. I mean, if you're a movie person, then you like watching movies. Amadeus, masterpiece. American Psycho, masterpiece. I really loved Beowulf. I don't know if I'd call it a masterpiece. Donnie Darko. These are just like movies that everybody should watch. Fight Club, yeah, I know, but whatever. It's worth watching. Idiocracy. It's a Wonderful Life. That's on my top 10 list, probably. Kick-Ass. Mary Poppins. Moon. Sam Rockwell, directed by David Bowie's son. That's like it's a masterpiece. Perfume, The Story of a Murderer. That might be like my favorite movie of all time. It's an analogy for genius, and Kurt Cobain was reading the book when he killed himself. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Repo, The Genetic Opera. Rocky V. Everybody hates that movie, but I think it's like the best one. Sunshine, masterpiece. Danny Boyle, I think, was the director. He also did Trainspotting. Masterpiece. The Breakfast Club. The Outsiders. For the youngins, The Outsider was a movie that was made, and it was like before so many of these people were famous. Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe. I'm probably missing 5 other people. Matt Dillon. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. That everybody has to watch that. Royal Tenenbaums. The Fall. Okay, that's an incredible movie. The Fall. Starring tall dude from... he's not very well known. He played Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy. The Fall is like incredible. I don't know if I mentioned that yesterday. I was drunk last night. Very, very, very drunk. True Romance, but that was before Quentin Tarantino turned into a piece of shit director. Watchmen, to me, that's a masterpiece. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, there's a couple Tim Burton's heyday. Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Batman, and Beetlejuice. And other than that, you can kind of skip the rest of his movies as far as I'm concerned. We are going to have to find new things, new hobbies. If you're an outdoors person, you can't play golf anymore. Don't play golf at home. So instead of playing golf, maybe play Tetris, video games, chess. Chess is the best thing you could do. Read books. It's a wonderful time to slow down your ADD, because we all are living in an ADD time. What a perfect time to get rid of that. Why don't we live like they lived 200 years ago, when they didn't have TV and the nearest neighbor was, a mile away. So you pretty much were just alone in your house or with your family. You have to read a book or write a book. That's why they could write so much. So there's that. My favorite author is Dostoevsky. He changed my life. And one of my favorite, I just heard a quote by him, which was amazing. He goes, I maintain that hell is when you lose the ability to love. And that's so true. And so you get all sorts of gems from him that are life-changing. You can write. Yes, we all need to slow down now, because it's not going to be this hardcore, fast-paced world for a little while. And I think that's actually a very good thing. And I'm something of an expert at avoiding stagnation and lethargy, because you got to keep motivated when you don't have a job or a routine, and you have to create a routine. I suggest incremental, have little goals per day, and do them incrementally. Like today, I will mop the floor, then I will do this, then I will do that, and then you feel really fulfilled by the end of the day, and you feel happy. And I'll chat with anybody. I'm a good conversationalist. I might try to do a live stream. It seems complicated these days. I tried to do it. But then again, and I don't think I have enough followers where anybody would show up. But maybe I'll schedule one or something. I don't know. That would be a very fun thing to do. I had a conversation with somebody today, and I brought up some great points. I always quote myself because I generally have the best things to say. I'm like, these idiots, this virus should have came around 20 years ago. But these idiots, they don't worry about anything because all they care about is their money. And people were warning, the scientists were saying, viruses could come out. Don't pour oil into the ocean. But they're like, nah, that's all bullshit. How much you want to bet that people like Trump, you can get them quoted saying, viruses are a myth. Just like global warming, climate destruction. No, like they boiled oil in the ocean and then went out for sushi. That's how blind they were. And also, I think that jail, it should be looked at as going to jail, this coronavirus, because you're effectively in jail, especially if you're an outdoorsy type and you like going to rock concerts and shit. So what do you do if you go to jail? Do you just bitch and whine and lose your temper and beat up your cellmate? Yeah, you could do that. But you could also just make the most of it and think, well, and I always said this, if I got a life sentence in jail, and it might happen one day, I would be like, okay, well, so everything's canceled. Sex life, everything I wanted to do is gone. And what do I have? What do I have here? Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to achieve enlightenment. I'll meditate fucking 20 hours a day and achieve the deepest level of enlightenment. What an opportunity that would be. And then jail will become wonderful, because it's all how you look at it. But if you're sitting in jail thinking about how you wish you were golfing and you're reading golfing magazines, well, that's kind of stupid. And speaking of jail, I was thinking a good movie to watch during this time might be The Shawshank Redemption. Because that is a story of somebody who made the best of his shitty situation and managed to have a pretty good life in there. Started a library, read books. I think that I really like B-movie horror movies. And the more of them I watch, the more I realize that they don't follow the Hollywood structure of like, okay, now there's going to be the happy ending, now there's going to be the plot twists. You see the most interesting plot developments or ideas, and they don't have to follow the formula. And I find that refreshing, and a lot of them suck, but some of them are amazing. Like, I saw one yesterday that blew my mind. I think it was called Room for Rent, and it's basically like this old lady, her husband dies, and she's all lonely. And then so she's like trying to get a tenant in her house. And so she's old lady. She gets this like 28-year-old hot guy becomes her tenant. And right off the bat, she's like thinking he's wants a romance with him. She starts wearing high heels and wearing ribbons in her hair, and it's just hilarious. It's hilarious, sad, and creepy, and it's dramatic. And so one scene, she goes into, I think I put it on YouTube, I don't know, but she goes into his bathroom when he's not there, and she takes out his deodorant and she puts it on, and then she takes out his cologne and she smells it, and then she takes out his toothbrush, and I'm like, oh no, please, you batty old loon, don't. And she puts it close to her mouth, she smells it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a relief, she only smelled it. Then she puts it in her mouth and starts brushing her teeth. And I'm like, okay, you've lost it, you've gone too far. And it's like, I'm like, this is the same as like a guy sniffing a girl's panties. I never understood why they do that. It's not going to smell like roses, but it was so wacky. And it's the kind of movie where you're like, where's this going to go? Like, how could this develop? I mean, it'll probably turn to shit, but it might develop in such a way where it's a horror movie and she kills him and tortures him, or it could be that it's very sad ending where you just find out how lonely she is, or it could just be a flat-out comedy. It could be any kind of movie, and I thought that was amazing. Swim to me, MERA. You will not be meeting with your hubby, Aquaman, anytime soon. Get out of the water. I'm putting you in jail. And during this Amber Heard, well, they're calling it the coronavirus, but the Amber Heard virus, I've been respecting the social distancing rule. I'm staying between 2 meters away from people, especially elderly people. But every time I go out, I find nobody else is. I see old people lining up right behind people. And like, I went to the bank, I went to the grocery store, and they're all just like barging in. And I'm like, look, it's supposed to be less than 5 people. And I'm the only one doing it. And so I don't even know how to react or what I'm supposed to say. Like, am I supposed to yell at them? Like some young kid, like 20-year-old, stands right behind me in the bank, and I look at him and I go, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, sorry, and he moves away, which is nice. But like, who have you been talking to? Why would you do that? And I'm at the grocery store, and everybody's walking so close to each other and stopping in the aisles and like dilly-dallying, and it's like, and I actually losing my temper, and I'm just like, well, I don't want to have sex with you, okay? Like, why are you standing so close to me? And they say that you're not supposed to touch your face, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your mouth. And I'm like, okay, don't touch. And I'm like, okay, well, my eyes, I wear contact lenses, so I touch my eyes all the time. My nose, I pick my nose all the time. And my mouth, I bite my teeth. I bite my nails, my fingernails. So, but that's fine because I don't go out. And I'm proud of how I do all those things to my face. Now, regarding the Amber Heard virus, I like Americans, okay? I don't like everything about them, but I like them in general. When I went to Germany, I remember they were lecturing me about how much they hate Americans. I'm Canadian. And so the guy's going on about how shitty Americans are. And then I look over on his bookshelf, and there's like all these DVDs of South Park, The Simpsons. It's like, you can't in one breath say how much America sucks, and then in another breath you're talking about how much you love their movies. Now, Canadians, I think they do some things very well. Like the healthcare system is wonderful. You don't have to pay for a surgery, and that's wonderful. And there's really good disability. There's great, lots of financial support for lots of things, and that's great. But I do think they're kind of pussies. And the reason they're pussies is because they're insecure about their identity. They want to be like America, but at the same time, they want to be their own identity. And it's like, give up on your identity. The reason America has an identity, whatever identity, however, it's the identity of like capitalism and make money, the American dream. So that's not really like. So how about the Canadian dream could be make more money, but not like that we're Canadian and we ride on we have Mounties and Margaret Atwood, and I mean we've got a phrase called Canadian content, and you can only get an arts grant if your project has Canadian content. But what an absurd concept! Like, it would be absurd to say, oh, you have to have American content. Like, that would be ridiculous. Everything that's made in America is American content. So it just shows how insecure Canadians are, how they have no identity. Why don't they just all get maple leafs tattooed on their forehead? Maybe that'll make them feel like they've got an identity. How does this relate to Amber Heard? Well, when Amber Heard pulled her bullshit on Johnny Depp, the old-fashioned American like John Wayne would have bitch slapped her. And I'm not saying that's entirely right, but that's just the Americans that I remember or think of. A Canadian would have just been like, oh, you poor little thing. Oh, you must be telling the truth. Believe them. And my point is that Americans are becoming more and more like wimpy Canadians, where they're just allowing themselves to be pushovers, and like someone talks about how they're oppressed, and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh, let's lynch the evil man, and all that kind of shit. You know, you're not allowed to say anything anymore. Americans used to be allowed to say bold things, but now they're turning into Canadians, and you're gonna have to. They're being polite, and they're thank you, please, I'm so sorry. And I'm not saying it's entirely a bad thing, and it's possible that it's not bad at all. It's possible that it's a great thing, but it annoys me. And now their movies are looking more and more like Canadian movies. You can always tell a Canadian movie because every single race is represented, every single sexuality is represented, and it's unrealistic the way they're represented. They're just all shoved in as if they would all be best friends, when that doesn't really happen in real life. You're not going to find a group of 5 people where one of them is Chinese, the other one's black, the other one's Asian, the other one's white, one's 2 are girls, one is chubby, one is skinny, one of them's nerdy, one of them's a jock. You're not going to have a group of people like that anywhere. But every Canadian movie represents reality like that. And, it's nice to have an idealistic reality like that. But every movie, and what's wrong with a realistic movie? But now American movies are all becoming like that. So it's sad because they're becoming shitty movies. They're becoming shitty Canadian movies. Oh, and getting back to the Canadian content. Okay, so the only way to make a movie in Canada is if you get grants by the government. So in other words, it's like charity, because you can't afford to make your own movie, and nobody's going to watch it. So we're going to pay you. The government's going to pay you to make a movie, like charity, but it has to have Canadian content. What does that mean? Well, it means, I don't know. You have to have every single race represented, every single sexuality. You have to have everything happen in like a Canadian town and mention landmarks. This has been going on in Toronto, in Canada, forever, ever since Canada started making movies, I believe. And now it's going on in the States. And Amber Heard is like the harbinger. She's twirling up the baton in the parade for equal It's going to get to the point in America where you're not allowed to make a movie unless you have all these boxes checked. Okay, you got representation of this, you got representation of that. Do you have any swear words? You can't use the word bitch. You can't use the N word. You can't use the F word. I mean, fag. You can't use and you can't have a fat person. If you're gonna have a midget, they have to do this. And it's like, okay, so in other words, I can't make a good movie. Paint by numbers movies are shit movies. And you gotta have a happy ending. And you have to have the woman has to live at the end, and the guy has to die. Make the guy bad, make the girl good. The midget can't be in a dream sequence. I mean, you name one great movie that you can think of, one of your favorite movies, and then imagine how it could never be made today because It doesn't, of all the things, the rules that it breaks in terms of social justice. Thankfully, people are reacting against the Amber Heard movement, which became a virus. It was so bad it became a virus. And it's never gonna, this isn't gonna escalate, this Amber Heard virus, because people are just gonna be like, no, we're not doing that. We're not gonna have shitty movies. And we reject your petition to ban every Martin Scorsese movie because of its use of the N-word, or to censor every Martin Scorsese movie. We refuse to digitally impose different races into Star Wars, where you CGI Luke's skin, or to make him look black, and make Han Solo a woman with CGI effects. We reject that petition. It is ridiculous. We reject your petition to ban every Disney movie where the female is a princess. Or the male's the one that goes to work. I think it was Nerdrotic who was saying in his critique of The Witcher, I think he made a good point. He was like, the thing is, like, on Game of Thrones, when you had different races, I think black people, for example, they would be in the South, they would be represented by a certain type of people, like a different culture, because that's realistic. And the whiter people would be in the North or something. Whereas on The Witcher, it doesn't matter where anybody's from. It doesn't matter if you're an elf or whatever the hell you are. They come in every race, and that it detracts from the experience, the immersion in the thing. Just like Star Trek. Star Trek always made this. It was one of the problems with Star Trek is that every different alien comes in every human race. So, like, if you're making a movie that takes place in South Central LA, it should be all black people, actors. And to hell with your idea about diversification. And if you're telling a story based in, I don't know, Russia or which country? I don't know, some country where it's illegal to be gay, then you can't have the president or prime minister have a boyfriend in the movie. If it's a historical movie, and I can imagine more intelligent people saying, you're going too far with this hypothetical future in movies. But no, I'm not going far enough. Like, the stupidity is there's no limit, and they would go as far as they could. Who is they? They are the people in particular who are so obsessed with their own feeling of power that no, they can't be reasoned with, and they will just do lunatic shit. For example, the Amber Heard virus. I warned people. I remember entirely. 2 years ago, I was at Thanksgiving dinner, and I was like, when Henry Cavill said that he doesn't even bother hitting on women anymore because he doesn't want to be called a rapist, everybody attacked him for it. I'm like, he made a good point, right? And I got told off for saying such a terrible thing, that Henry Cavill had a point there, right? And I go, no, because this shit's gonna happen. And then, lo and behold, Johnny Depp's career gets destroyed by someone who essentially did the same exact thing that I was warning about. When I brought up the dangers of the Me Too movement, there are dangers. There were dangers. People would say, oh, come on, you're ridiculous. Do you think that would actually happen? Do you really think there's any women out there who are going to actually go out there and ruin a man's life in reality? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Or how does that really affect your life? Is it really going to inconvenience you that much if women are standing up for themselves finally? How does that affect your life? Why would you be against it? I'm like, well, because I can't go to bars. Oh, come on, you can go to bars. Oh, or, you know what, if a girl is giving you a creeped out look, you must be doing something creepy. No, that's not how it works. You get creeped out looks no matter, like, maybe you don't look good enough for them. And they'll say, get out of here, you fucking weirdo creep. So maybe now that the Amber Heard virus has hit in full force and already ruined, well, Johnny Depp's life and countless others, they're just not famous, maybe it'll be taken more seriously. If you like gays, click like. If you like blacks, comment. If you like women, click notification bell. If you like gay women, subscribe. And if you like gay black women, Patreon, Human Warnings, give me